So hey everybody, I'm here with Mike Krahulik. Did I say that right, by the way?
You did, yeah. You nailed it, actually.
I've been practicing. I'm here with Mike Krahulik, and he is the artist and co-founder of Penny Arcade. And a lot of you sent me an article that he wrote on their website, pennyarcade.com. About Google Stadia. And so I reached out and I said, hey, do you want to be on the show? And he said, yes. So here he is. What's up, man?
Not much. Just playing games and drawing comics.
What are you playing?
Well, let's see. I'm playing actually the new Division expansion. The Gangs of New York. Is that what it is? Or something of New York.
Yeah, it's definitely in New York. I don't know what the name of it is.
It's in New York. It's got its grip on me. I've been playing that. I'm playing Doom. I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Playing Hades a lot.
For the Division 2, like that game, like if they just brought in like this like tower or something that you're supposed to like go up 100 levels or something. Have you played that
yet? This is what I wanted to check out. No, I asked Jerry if he had tried it, and he said no. And so I thought, well, one of us has to check out this skyscraper thing. It sounds cool. So I jumped back in. I did the level boost to 30. I played a couple hours of the Washington, D.C. stuff, and it didn't really stick with me. But I'm having a great time running around New York. I haven't found this 100-story tower yet, but I'm having a blast.
Just look up.
Yeah, I should just look for the tallest building. I don't know what I'm thinking, and just go there.
Right. So what system are you playing that on?
I'm hooked on the Stadia right now. It's got its tentacles all around me. I'm more and more impressed the more and more I play it.
Interesting. I saw you tweet that you said that the more you play it, the more interesting it is to you. So let's rewind a little bit and go back to when they announced it. What were your initial thoughts when it was first announced?
Ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I happen to be in a sort of internet dead zone. I've got Comcast, and they try to give me cable whenever they're able, but it's not a huge priority for them. So my what I pay for and what I get are very different. And so the idea of streaming games, sometimes I can't even watch a show. I have trouble with Hulu. And so the idea of streaming a 4K game seemed insane to me, honestly.
And so you said, I'm not even going to bother with it until the demos came out, or had you tried it before then?
No, I hadn't tried it at all. But I was curious about it was Gods and Monsters.
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yes, Immortals Phoenix Rising. I don't know why they did that.
Gods and Monsters was such a better title, wasn't it?
It's such a good name. But Immortals Phoenix Rising, I was very curious about, and so I thought, it's free. Let's just, see how easy it is for me to play this. And I realized, after a little while into it, that I had forgotten I was playing it in a Chrome browser.
Mm-hmm. So
it was shocking to me.
What'd you think of the game?
The game, I think it's targeted for a much younger audience. I think they imagine that art style maybe goes along with younger kids, and maybe it does, and so they've written it for children, dumb ones, I think. And I couldn't take the narration for more than about an hour.
So do you feel like they said, all right, well, we got Assassin's Creed, but we need something to sell to younger people, so let's make Assassin's Creed, but for young people?
Yeah, I think they did. And I think you can make things for young people without thinking they're so dumb. You can make clever things for children that appeal to adults. Ask Pixar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this just felt like a lot of kid stuff. I like the combat. I like the setting. I don't know.
I like the setting. I didn't play it for very long, mostly because I was really, really busy. But what I did play, like I was chuckling at the back and forth between Zeus and whoever it is. I found it to be a little humorous. Not like, oh my God, this is hilarious, but it was unexpected for me. And I think that just the unexpectedness of it made me laugh. But I can see how over a long period of time, it could probably start to grate on people.
Well, and honestly, I have a much easier time giving games that are doing like serious writing a pass. I can hand wave a lot of games that try to be serious and the writing just doesn't live up to it. But because I spend, so much of my life trying to write jokes.
Oh, okay.
Whenever I see something that's trying to be funny, it's very hard for me not to sort of dissect it and think, oh, I wish that it had been written this way.
Nice.
That's just my own bugaboo, though. That doesn't have to bother anyone else.
Yeah, that's fair. So did you try the other demos that were also available, the Pac-Man and the Humankind?
I didn't try Humankind. That's a Jerry game. That's not for me. But I did try Pac-Man, and I thought it was great. It also ran well. And the two of those games combined are what convinced me to buy Doom and sort of say, okay, well, let me buy a AAA title and imagine myself, this is how I was going to play it. Let's do the test.
So had you played Doom previously?
No, I hadn't played Doom Eternal. I played the previous one.
Okay. So you jumped in on Doom Eternal, and what were your thoughts?
I mean, I must have played 3 hours the first night.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until, a couple hours in and I'm noticing these load times and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This isn't on a great PC. This is running on, I have a PC that's only job is to take the video from my real PC and stream it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was playing Doom on. And, I was just super impressed because it never even occurred to me. I'd played a little bit of the xCloud stuff, and it's fun. And every once in a while, the video shifts, and you definitely notice some artifacting, and it gets a little wonky. But you're like, you know what? This is the cherry on top of a service I already pay for, and you sort of I think you can sort of look past some of that. It never even registered that I was playing a streamed game that night.
So you felt like there was did you notice any latency? I saw a lot of people were asking me to ask you about the latency.
Well, I did notice latency when I tried to play with a Bluetooth controller. I connected my Xbox controller, and I was not a fan of that feeling. I ended up playing mouse and keyboard until just the other day when I got a controller, one of the Stadia controllers.
Oh, so you did get a Stadia controller? I
did get a Stadia controller. Yes, I ordered the Wasabi.
Oh, I'm jealous.
I like that one.
I love the Wasabi one. It's so stupid. Like right now they're on sale, and I keep going to the stupid store.google.com and typing in Wasabi and then putting it in my cart and looking at it and saying, "You don't need this, you idiot. Stop. What are you doing?" And so then I delete it.
I did that 3 days in a row. The exact same thing you just described. Late at night, you get it in the cart, and you're like, "No, I'm fine. I'll just play with the keyboard."
I use the found like I have two controllers at my house, one for me and one for my son. So I have even less of a reason to pick it up. So now you've got the Stadia controller.
Yes.
Let's talk about the latency there. Did it feel better than the Bluetooth version with your Xbox controller?
Significantly, yeah, it really did. And I wasn't sure if it would, but what I ended up doing is using it to play on a Chromecast on my TV. We already had a Chromecast Ultra. Mm-hmm. And so once I had the controller, I was like, all right, well, let's go downstairs and test this out. And been playing down there too.
Is that on Wi-Fi or Ethernet?
That's on Ethernet. It does not seem to like my Wi-Fi very much. So both of the machines that I tend to play on, I've plugged in, which isn't ideal, but it's possible. And I've played Kara, my wife. She plays on her PC. It's connected to Wi-Fi. She notices some artifacting and occasionally, but nothing that would make her not want to play on it so far. We still like Orcs Must Die.
Yeah, that game is really, really good.
It's
And
a great
it's
co-op
about
game.
Yeah, it is, and it's about to get an update. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but that game is going to have an update where it'll have. So there's $10 DLC, and then it will have this thing called Stream Connect. Are you familiar with Stream Connect?
No, please. I need to learn.
All right. So Stream Connect is going to be really cool when you're playing co-op with your wife, because it will take her screen and put it on your screen down in the corner. So right now you can do that in Division 2. So if you group up with somebody else that's on Stadia, it automatically puts their screen in what you get to see what they see in the corner of your screen.
Like picture in picture?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That I had no idea. What's this called? Stadia streaming? What is it?
Stream Connect. It's terrible,
Stream
terrible
Connect.
nomenclature, but yeah.
That's a legitimately cool feature. I had no idea it existed.
Yeah, and especially like with a game like Orcs Must Die 3, like I'm kind of mind blown that they didn't launch with this, because it's such a fantastic, like, that game. First off, it's a 2-player game, and knowing what the other person is doing is incredibly important. So
yeah,
it's a no-brainer. And I've used it a bunch of times on Division 2, and it works wonderfully. And it's always exciting because that game's cross-play. So whenever I group with somebody who's on PC, I don't get to see that stuff. But if I'm grouped and somebody's on Stadia, I'm like, oh, cool, I can see what they're doing. Let me send my little health drone over to heal them up or something.
That is really cool. Now I'm gonna have to convince Jerry to buy the Division on Stadia so that I can test this out.
Does he already have it someplace else?
Or you know what you have? Do you have the New York expansion?
I don't have the New York expansion. How much is that anyway? Because I've been eyeballing it.
Yeah, it was $30. It was the 29, I think.
Yeah. Maybe I'll end up picking it up and we can test it out if you can't convince Jerry, because I have been eyeballing it. I really do like. I would say Division 2 is probably the best port on Stadia right now. Like, it feels super snappy, both on mouse and keyboard and with the controller.
Yeah, I've been playing the majority. Oh, actually, I guess of that, the Division, all on controller, and I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. So you've been playing a bunch of Stadia. Oh yeah, you got the controller. I almost forgot. What are your thoughts, latency aside, on the controller itself? Like holding it in your hand. What do you think of it?
I like it. I like how light it is. I like the texture on the back a lot. The buttons feel really good, and I don't know. I am a big fan of colors. I like how things look, and so for me, like, it's beautiful. It's pretty. I like it. I like it in that regard.
I personally would really like it if they would put out some. I probably wouldn't buy them because I don't need them, but I think it would help them a lot if they like put out a Cyberpunk 2077 controller that came with the game, or Orcs Must Die 3 controller, like that kind of thing that was themed. I think that would really do well.
Yeah, not having a box to theme limits them in that regard, but I would absolutely, as someone who's a fan now, I would pick up limited edition controllers, in a heartbeat.
You decorate them all over the house?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a sucker for that stuff.
So one of the questions a lot of people were asking me to ask you about is, in your article, you said that you're not a fan of the business model. Go ahead and let me know why. What don't you like about it? Oh, are you there?
Actually, my headphones turned off for some reason.
Okay.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's odd. I think it's hard. Like I was saying, I have terrible internet, and certainly there have been a couple times in the evening where everyone's doing something and the Division starts to stutter, and I'm reminded that it's not on a box. And I think that there's just sort of a perception that the version you're getting is sort of limited in that, you can only play it under very specific circumstances. But you're still paying the full price for it.
Yeah, I
I
can
think
see that.
that's the feeling.
I can see where you would have that, especially if you don't have good internet. Like this is
Yes.
like we've said from the beginning, this is not a product that is for everyone yet. There are many people, like my dad. He doesn't play games or anything, but like he lives, I don't know, 5 miles away from me, and he cannot get high-speed internet at his house. He just can't. So if I lived at his house, I would not be able to get anything on. Like he's on dial-up still,
Right.
which is insanity.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Where do you live?
I live in upstate New York.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and in my house, like I have 300 down, 20 up, super stable connection. It's great, but 5 miles away, he can't. You know,
yeah.
And you know you're on Comcast, and they've got you. Like you said at the beginning, they try to give you cable speeds, but are they really?
Yeah.
Are they really trying?
I mean, I know that I'm paying for 300 down, but 99.
I think your headphones cut out again. So before we ran into technical difficulties, you were talking about the business model, and you were saying that your internet isn't quite what it should be, even though you're paying Comcast an arm and a leg, I'm sure. And
Yes.
that's really your issue with the business model for Stadia, is that they're charging you full price for a game when they can't guarantee that you would be able to take advantage of it.
Not even that they can't. I mean, when I can't guarantee it, you know, I mean, it's obviously this is on my end. I don't have a scenario. I don't have a life where I have, you know, fiber coming into my house and it just works. I have to say though that, you know, the more I play it, you know, the less that is a concern. I've bought a couple more games on there, and have enjoyed playing them, or claimed them. I'm doing the Stadia Pro thing. And have claimed them on there, and I like it. It just, you know, like I said, every once in a while you notice, you're like, oh yeah, this isn't on a real box, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, what other games did you? Or wait, did you buy more games, or are you just talking about the games that you claim on Stadia Pro?
We were claiming, we've been playing a bunch of Ember. Me and the kids like that one a lot. Played. I should go look at my recent queue. Was really impressed with Stadia. With Ember.
I personally am not a huge fan of Ember, but only like I love the art style. I love the theme behind it. I love the zaniness to it. I can't stand the ragdoll physics, and I just don't like that in any game. And so instantly it took me out, and I didn't like it. But I can see how if that is something that doesn't bother you, that you would love that game because it's so cool.
It is. It's fun to play co-op. The other one I've been playing a bunch of is Super Hot Mind Control, Mind Control Delete, which I had never played before. I'd played Super Hot, but never this sort of roguelike version. I really like it.
I haven't. I didn't even know that that's what that was. So it's a roguelite?
Yeah, it is. It's not like the normal game. You sort of run through levels, randomly generated levels, and every couple levels it gives you the option of 2 different hacks. So it'll say, do you want more health, or do you want to start every level with a random gun? And then you go on from there, and then you get a couple more options, and you kind of go as far as you can, and then it resets you. When you lose, you reset, start with another node. Like, it's really interesting.
Oh my god! Now I have to play that, and I wasn't going to because I have so much other stuff to play.
You don't have to pay for it.
That's true.
Just claim it.
Yeah. So, what do you think of Stadia Pro? I know a lot of people were upset that it's not like xCloud, where it's basically you subscribe and you get access to a rotating set of games. Instead, it's you subscribe and you claim the games when they're there, and then you keep them forever. Which model would you prefer?
I have to be honest, I didn't really understand the idea that you keep the games you claim even after they rotate out. And I don't know if I think that's not something that's super clear in their presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind it. I think that it's a year in. They just need to have more options in there, and I think more current, more of the current stuff. When you look in there and you see games, or at least for me, when I see games like Baldur's Gate, and Watch Dogs, it's like, yeah, that's really cool. I'd love to see more of that.
Yeah, and I think that obviously come over time. So far with Stadia Pro, because I've been there from the beginning, I've got 52 games from it, which is crazy.
So how does that work? It's every month. Is it new games?
Every month they on the first of the month they announce. Actually, I think they announce it the Tuesday before the first of the month what the games are going to be, and then on the first, you get access to games. Now, when they first started, they said, "Oh, it's going to be like a game a month." And we were like a game a month or a game a month? Which is it? Because you're not being incredibly clear. And then they just went absolutely bananas. Where like the last 4 months have been 5 or 6 games every single month just get added to my list of things that I don't have time to play.
Yeah, that you can claim and then not play and then feel bad about later.
Well, but you know what? That's what happens on my PlayStation because I have to make room and download them. But because I don't have to make room, I don't have to download them. I've tried way more of the pro games on Stadia than I have other things, just because I don't have to do any work in order to achieve the goal of trying this free game.
I was trying to explain that to Jerry the other night, and I was saying I've tried a bunch of stuff on here that has been available on other platforms that I just didn't try because I had to buy it, I had to make space for it to download it, and even if it was a 45-minute an hour download, there was a barrier to entry that I did not cross. And when I can just see the picture and think, I'll give it a try, and immediately be into it, I've tried a bunch more stuff because of it.
Yeah, I would say like when I first saw, because they unveiled this at GDC last year, and when I first saw it, I said, this is going to be huge because it's so frictionless. Like there's nothing to slow you down from that purchase button, which is a great thing for publishers, a very bad thing for people's wallets.
Oh, it's scary how easy it is to buy stuff on here. Yeah.
So you've played a bunch of pro games. Ember stands out to you. Obviously Doom. Oh God, Doom. I finished that game. I love that game. What are your thoughts on Doom Eternal so far? Because that game is one of my favorites.
I love it. I think I'm about 15 hours in now, and I just can't get enough of it. It's so fast, and they figured out what Doom is in the first one. And, Doom is about speed through these environments. And it's almost like Tony Hawk, you're doing tricks off of these guys. It's like, I need to get some armor off of this guy, and then I hit this guy so I can get some health, and then I hit this guy so I can get more armor. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I tend to forget. Like, I just started playing because the DLC just came out, and I just started playing that, and I had finished the game, I don't know, a month or two ago, or maybe 2 months or 3 months or something. And like the level of skill that is required for me to continue with the DLC, I've forgotten too much. And so it's just like the demons just grab me and they're like, "Oh, hello, Bill. Punch, 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 punch," and I'm dead. And I'm like, okay, I gotta start over.
Build up to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the DLC, like the game starts you at like a 3 and slowly over time builds you up to like a 10. And then the DLC starts you at a 10, and you're like, okay, I'm not ready for this yet because I haven't played in a while. But like for you, who's just started playing, when you get to the DLC, you're going to be ready.
I should be able to roll right into it. I mean, there are fights now that I'm in where I'll notice, when it's over, that my mouth is open and my tongue is hanging out. Like I'm just completely zoned out, just so, focused on the rhythm of that game that nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm. As I'm playing, I have a tendency, my hands, like I'll finish like an intense fight or something, and I'll like, oh my God, my hands hurt. My jaw is clenched or something, like, because it's so intense. It's such a great game. It's going to be tough for me not to say that that's my favorite game this year.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
So let's move back to Stadia. There's a lot of in the core gamer market, which I think that you, sir, are very much a part of, or at least you're a very much a representative of.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Of the core gamer market, there is a lot of negativity around Stadia. Why do you think that is?
Yes. Well, I don't think that the press is doing any favors. I mean, I didn't read anything nice. It took me literally going and having to try it, right? I think a free demo was the thing that got me in. Maybe it really is something that you have to experience, but even then, a couple articles saying that wouldn't hurt. And I don't know why that stuff isn't there. I don't know if it's not a priority for Google to get this in front of game journalists, or if game journalists aren't seeking out interesting stories about it. But there's really just no positive buzz, it seems.
Yeah, and well, I feel like
except in its own subreddit, the people who play it,
oh yeah,
are a very positive crowd. I've been really impressed.
Yeah, everybody who, everybody. I'm sure that there's a lot of people who have terrible internet who've tried it and have said, "What a pile of garbage,"
Yes.
And that's fair. But there's also all those people who've tried it and they're like, "Oh, okay." They're the other mics out there, and they're like, "This actually works. Is this magic?" Like when Galileo showed people the telescope, and they were like, "What is this nonsense?"
It feels magical when you try it, to the point where as new games come out, if they're available on Stadia, that's honestly going forward going to be a real possibility for me. Like I would consider picking up a new game day and date on Stadia. And I think they have a tough sell going forward, just because right now, like, what's their plan in terms of ray tracing, right? Like, are a lot of the new effects that are coming to next gen consoles going to make their way to Stadia? Do you know about that?
Well, so nothing official from Google. I spoke to a developer that works at a publisher that I can't say who it is.
Fair enough.
And they said, I'm working on this game, and it has, and we're getting ray tracing on Stadia. Now, they've told me a bunch of stuff, and a bunch of stuff that they've said has panned out, so they seem like a reliable source, but I don't know for sure if they're just some jerk pulling my leg or not. Like, there's no way for me to know, but I don't see why it wouldn't. Like, all that requires is for Google to upgrade the servers, or maybe even just do it through software, because they, like, at GDC, they got up on the stage and they said, by the way, this is running off one Stadia blade. We can also link multiple Stadia blades together in order to do more. So the one of the things about Stadia that is so interesting to me is that they have this, like, everybody, you just mentioned next gen, right?
Right.
Somebody said, well, there is no next gen with Stadia. It's forever gen. Like, you don't have to buy Stadia 2. When Stadia gets upgraded, you get upgraded as well.
Yeah, and if that's the case, that's very compelling. If all of a sudden my $10 a month or whatever it ends up, it is, that is every new, that keeps up with the new consoles, that's constantly being upgraded. That's very cool.
So what would make you decide to choose to buy a game on Stadia instead of, say, the PS5 or the Xbox Series?
For me, it would be the ability to play it in different screens in my house easily. Just because I've got kids who want TVs, I've got other people in the house, like being able to go up to my office and play it on this screen, or go down to the living room and play it on that screen, is interesting to me. And if it is visually comparable to what I could get on a PlayStation 5 or the new Xbox, I would absolutely buy it there.
See, I think that it'll be visually comparable. You'll always see a little bit of artifacting when you're streaming a game. That's just how physics works,
Yeah.
Like compression's always going to be like that. But if it's not enough to notice, then do you think the future of in your house stuff is what's the word? Not in danger, because there's always going to be people who don't have the internet for it. Well, maybe not always. Maybe in 10 years, everybody will have internet.
10 years, who knows? Yeah.
But do you think
it down in satellites?
Do you think it's dead man walking for buying a box for your house?
My first thought was, boy, especially considering how I haven't been able to buy one of the new NVIDIA cards, I have to wonder if I'm going to build another gaming PC. I don't see that happening, honestly. I love my consoles, and I'm a console gamer since I had, the Sega Master System. And I think that there will always be a part of me that wants to have that hardware, just because that's hardwired into me.
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
That's fair. And there's a lot of people who are like you in that regard. Like, we're not on video right now, but if you could see behind me, you would see that I have a whole bunch of old Nintendo consoles, like the TV Color 6 and the NES and like the Virtual Boy and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I like to have that stuff. But that's for nostalgia. I have not tried to buy a PS5. I've not tried to buy an Xbox because right now I don't know what they could give me that I can't get otherwise. Although I'm a weird case because I don't really care about the resolution all that much. It doesn't affect me. I just want to play the game. But yeah. I can see why somebody would always want to have that physical thing to hug and to hold.
Yeah, it's nice. And I think that, I would love to see a service, the technology like this behind, powering something on PlayStation where I did buy a game and I could play it on this high-end hardware, and this game just purrs no matter if it's raining or storming outside or I've lost my internet. I've got this beautiful game I can play on this device. But if on top of that I had technology like this where I could also go play it somewhere else, I would love it. And I think that's the problem, is people are saying, okay, I don't know if I'm ready to move to this new ecosystem that is only propped up by streaming. Mm-hmm. That for some people is, gives them pause. And like you understand that. And I think that once everybody has access to, gigabit or whatever, it won't be an issue anymore.
Yeah. So Comcast, get on it.
Or anyone else. It doesn't need to be Comcast.
True. Well,
I mean, I check
where you live, it has to be
someone.
Comcast.
Yeah. Someone offer me service here, please.
So, we were talking about Google unable to convince people that it works. What do you think they should do about it? Do you have I know you said in your article it's not your job, and you're right, it's not. But what do you think that they could, you're in charge for the day. What are you going to do?
Boy, I would if I was in charge, I don't understand. You have to understand. I don't understand how money works. There's people in the business. I draw pictures. There's people that I, have at Penny Arcade that help me with the rest of it. But in my perfect world, you would pay a pro subscription and it would give you access to all the games that were on Stadia. And as long as you paid your pro subscription, like Netflix, you could play any game on there. Mm-hmm. And I think that I would start trying to get the service into the hands of streamers. I think that that's really where people are going these days. And try to convince some of them that it's worth checking out. I don't know that people are really following the game news sites as much as they used to. I think that people are looking to streamers and podcasters and stuff like that for what's cool and what they should be playing.
That makes sense. You said on Twitter that you were looking for more information about Stadia. Here's a thing that kind of is related to what you were just saying. I don't know if you're aware, but coming soon, in air quotes,
yes.
Big ol' air quotes,
Okay.
You're going to be able to stream to YouTube directly from Stadia without doing any OBS or any of that nonsense. You just hit the button and they duplicate your stream. So the stream that you're seeing then gets also streamed live to YouTube with your voice into the microphone on your controller or whatever. What do you think about that?
Okay, so it's not coming. It wouldn't be coming from my house. I'm not. The upload speed of my internet isn't required, right?
Right.
That's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not like a professional streamer, but I definitely have fun on there, and would try out something like that. That sounds cool.
I personally think that right there, and they've been talking about this for a while. So good God, Google, make it happen. That right there is the key that can unlock a lot of stuff, because if there's a bunch of people who are streaming suddenly and people are like, oh, look at this, there's this game. Oh, you're playing on Stadia? Oh, there's a button. There's a link in the YouTube description that I can click and it'll launch the game. All right.
In my browser? Yeah.
Exactly.
Magical stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Moments like that are what they need to capitalize on. That sounds really cool.
Well, Mike, I have to say thank you again for coming on the show. You're awesome. I really do appreciate it. Everybody.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Yeah, everybody knows who you are, but for the 5 people who have not heard of Penny Arcade, why don't you tell them all about Penny Arcade and PAX and Child's Play and all of the amazing things that you do?
Let's see. Yeah. So in 1998, I started a comic strip called Penny Arcade with my friend Jerry. We're still drawing it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We try to make funny jokes about video games. And while we were doing that, we started the PAX video game expos, the Penny Arcade expos. Those are all around the world. Well, not right now because of the COVID.
Let me interrupt there. How's that going? Like, what's happening there?
Well, we had PAX Online, which was really great. I mean, a 9-day sort of festival that was free for anybody who wanted to attend. We had 24-hour content. But, it's not the same as going to Boston and going to Philly and meeting people. And until it's safe to do that, we just are not gonna. So normally, under better circumstances, there would be PAX video games expos all over the world.
Yeah. I've never been to one. I've always wanted to.
They're a hoot. Yeah, I mean, they really are focused on sort of the community. So there's an expo hall, but most of the time my best times at PAX are when I sort of find people playing a game in some room somewhere, and I sit down and say, "What are you playing?" And I learn about some new game.
Awesome. And then you've got Child's Play Charity.
Yes, Child's Play Charity. We've got December 10th is our auction, our online auction this year. Like, everything's got to go online. But childsplaycharity.org, you can check out that website. For a very long time, we've been focused on getting donations so that we can help children in hospitals sort of improve their time there through games and play and technology.
Right, it's an amazing charity, and it's raised millions for kids in hospitals, and I can't think of a better cause.
Yes, it's close to our hearts, and it's something that it's allowed us to combine our passion for kids and games and try to make things better for them. And God, what's just a terrible situation, but sometimes, especially now with VR and stuff like that, we're actually finding out that games aren't just a fun way to take the kid's mind off of things, but they can actually be therapeutic. So it's really cool.
That is. My wife would be incredibly angry with me if I did not ask you this question. When the hell are we getting season 2 of Strip Search?
Wow, yeah, a lot of people like Strip Search. That was our sort of America's Next web cartoonist show that we did years ago. We still are in contact with a lot of those people. Katie, who won, is now working on Animaniacs, the reboot of Animaniacs on Hulu.
Wow.
Amy, who is in that show, Tristan now, she's at Wizards of the Coast working on Dungeons and Dragons. Those people went on to do great things. I don't know when we'll do another episode. We've talked about it, and if we do, it'll be something, definitely streamed. It'll be an online sort of event. But I'm glad that she liked that show. It's still very important to me. Those people are very important to me.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Mike. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me. That you're awesome. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me. It was super fun. And can I ask you one question about Stadia before I go?
You can ask me as many questions as you want.
I'm just curious if they have any plan for like a family thing, some kind of family plan.
So,
you heard anything about that?
Yes. I've talked to this is like the weirdest thing that ever happened to me. I started the show, and then I got this email from Google, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to talk to John Justice?" And I was like, "I don't know who John Justice is." So I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, he's the head of Stadia." And I was like, "Okay,
all right,
I'm some doofus in his attic." But sure. Yeah. And so I talked to him, and he did say that family plans are coming. We don't have any details on that, except that so there's another content creator who goes into like the APK, the Android files or whatever, and they pick everything apart. And they were like, "I'm seeing stuff in here that says that you can share your pro games with the other members of your family as well." But
see, that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, but that's not official yet. And like that's every single episode, because we do our shows live. Every single episode, the chat is like, "When is family sharing coming?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but man, it can't come soon enough."
Yeah, Google is pretty good about the family sharing. We all, in my family at least, we've got Android devices, and the home, the Nest, and all that stuff, and it all works together really well. And having Stadia not plug into that seems sort of odd.
Yeah, I will say this. You said earlier in the show you don't understand money, and I'm with you in that regard too. And my guess is like Stadia is or Google, whoever, is arm wrestling with these publishers and saying, "Come on, let us do this." And the publishers are probably like, some of the publishers are probably like, "Yeah, go nuts," and other publishers are against it.
Heck no.
It's like you look at the PS4, and they've got. I can't believe that they were able to get the publishers to go along with this. If you have multiple PS4s in your house, like I have one and my son has one, we can play the same game at the same time if we've only bought it once. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in Microsoft's family plans are also pretty robust. It's one point that's lacking in the Stadia model. But if it's something that they're thinking about, then we're still early enough in the cycle that I'm happy to give them some time and see if it pans out.
So how many accounts do you have at your house now? Because like your kids and your wife and you all playing it, or is it
just my wife and I, and the kids we're trading off. Because like I said, until they get a family plan, getting accounts for everybody, I'm not I'm not willing to do that yet.
Yeah, and especially with the internet that you have that you're describing, like
I can't guarantee. It's not 100% that when I sit down to play the game, the stars are going to align and I'm going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I've crossed my fingers. Like when my son, like on the first of the month, my son's like, "New pro games," and so he's playing, and every once in a while I'm like, "All right, I'm going to stream, and is my internet going to be okay?" While I'm doing my podcasting thing, and usually it's fine, but there's been a couple of times where he's playing a game, my niece is streaming or is watching something on Hulu, my wife is watching something on Netflix, and I'm trying to play a game and stream it at the same time, and there's a couple of little hiccups, but for the most part, like you said earlier,
they're little hiccups.
Yeah, it's like magic for the most part, though.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm going to let you get out of here. You're awesome. Thanks again, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for chit-chatting with me.